Hello, this is Tom, aka Jedio, here for Tabletop Tap Room. And yes, we are on Thursday the 19th, one day before Wizards of the Coast is about to roll out the new OGL agreement, the draft, the new draft, the second draft. It's really the first draft, but because the other one wasn't a draft. But and so you'd be thinking, Tom, really, shouldn't you just wait a day? Because isn't there going to be a whole lot of hoopla over? Yeah, probably. However, as I was reviewing things and parsing out, charting and outlining statements by Wizards of the Coast, I came to the realization that the community of creators, content creators, we've been operating on a small picture basis. And WotC, Wizards of the Coast, is operating on a big picture basis. And because they're operating on a big picture basis and we don't get it, we're not seeing it. You get statements like you did in that statement where they're like, we win also. There was somebody being a little cheeky going, patting us on the head going, yeah, we won also. Okay, that was a cheeky monkey move. And so I want to carefully go through one of their statements and chart out their statements and boil them down to what they mean. And then at the end, I want a big picture of this. And I think if we go into tomorrow with the new OGL from WotC, we should go into it with our eyes open, understanding what the big picture is, understanding what WotC's true motives are. Because I think us running around and making a lot of noise and hoopla and being a tempest in a teapot does not serve us. It serves WotC. And that's what I'm concerned about. So I'd like to big picture it, but that'll come towards the end of the video. So please hang in there with me. But I really want to get into this. So let's start with the statement from January 13th. And let's just start with the obvious here. Very beginning, when we initially conceived of revising the OGL, we initially received, I want to point out, this is all new. The OGL has been chugging along for 2 decades. So this is new. It was with 3 goals in mind. What are those 3 goals? Let's look at them. Right here, we have first, we wanted the ability to prevent the use of D&D content from being included in harmful products. Okay? Let me ask you this. How many harmful, discriminatory, hateful products have you seen? Really? They don't really exist. Yeah, I'm sure you can find 1 or 2. The market sorts those out. Nobody buys them. People, somebody like me or Tenkar or one of the other reviewers buys them. They review it, they trash it, and then everybody's warned, stay away from that. That's got race, but you just don't see it. Okay, so this whole first part is smoke to prevent the use of D&D content from being included in hateful, discriminatory product. Well, D&D. Let's go back to D&D content. The OGL does not give us permission to use D&D content. I mean, there are 10 creatures that are considered Dungeons & Dragons IP. You can't use those. You got to completely rename them, redraw them, retool them. You don't really get to use the content, their content. But so this is all smoke. So what part of this is left? We want to control the content of products. Get rid of the excuse, because the excuse sounds good because it plays to a certain segment, certain political bent. Oh, it's virtue signaling. So let's go over to our document here and let's write out the first goal. That's Wizards. Let's put that in there. WOTC. We want to control the products that are made for D&D. Okay, that's their first goal. Get rid of the excuse. It sounds good, the politically correct excuse, because honestly, I don't really think Wizards is politically correct. If they could be racist to make more money, they would be. If they can be politically correct to make more money, that's how they're going to go. It's whatever way the wind is blowing that they can make more money, they're all about the money. So let's go on back to our statement. And that's goal number one. Secondly, we want to address those attempting to use D&D and Web3, blockchain games, NFTs, by making clear that the OGL content is limited to tabletop role-playing content like campaigns, modules, and supplements. The first part of this is smoke again, and people have pointed out I'm not going to go and present that. Other YouTubers have presented that they're hypocrites because they're using NFTs and blockchains and other IP that they have, Hasbro Wizards. So this is all BS. So get rid of the excuse. Let's break it down by making it. So get rid of make it clear. This is their goal. Make it clear that the OGL content is limited to tabletop role-playing content like campaigns, modules, and supplements. They want to assert that the OGL is only for tabletop role. Why? We have to ask the questions why. I think it harkens back. I think this is important because I think it harkens back to last year when they came out with the lifestyle brands, 4-quadrant. They're going to have movies and TV shows and products and gaming, and okay, they're moving in that direction. They want to control the OGL because it allows for somebody to grab and try to use D&D. I think they're worried as they're moving into movies and TV shows. They're worried about somebody else trying to do the same and being like D&D. Why? Because if somebody else sees a crappy D&D movie, a crappy TV show, they'd be like, we could do that better. We could get better writers. We could write a better story and do that better. And I don't think Wizards Hasbro wants the competition. They want to control that. So they are asserting this goal. This is their goal, to assert the OGL is only about campaigns, modules, and adventures. That's only what it's for. So this is an assertion. This is their goal. This is all new. This is not what the OGL was before, but now they're going to assert that. So let's add that to our document. Assert that the OGL is limited to strictly tabletop RPG content like campaigns. So goal number one, we want to control the products that are made. We want to assert that the OGL only applies to adventures, campaigns, modules. This is our goal. New goal. Again, new goal. Not been the truth. It's not been what's been in play for 2 decades. And third goal. Okay, this one's important. We want to ensure that the OGL is for the content creator, the home brewer, the aspiring designer, our players, and the community. Our players. Like they're our father. We belong to them. I don't belong to them. Community, not major corporations for their own commercial and promotional purposes. Okay, the beginning here, the smoke is in the beginning. The real part here is the end, not major corporations. Now, we looked at this, the content creators, and we small pictured it. We're thinking they're talking about us. They're talking about Paizo. They were talking about, oh, yeah, so-and-so got $1 million in a Kickstarter. He's not a major corporation. He's a mom and pop. They're packaging stuff to ship out in their kitchen table. They're not a major corporation. And so people have been kicking about this and spinning on this. They were small picturing it. Okay. WotC said major corporations. Why? Because they meant it. They're not talking Paizo. They're talking Sony. They're talking Paramount, MGM. I mean, they're talking big corporations. Why? Because they're moving in the direction of movies, TVs, products, gaming, 4-quadrant brand. They said it last year. They're big picturing it, and they're not worried about mom and pop operations. We're small potatoes. They're big picturing it, and they used major corporations. Oh, we highlight that better. They meant it. But what do those words mean? Major corporations. What does that mean? What does that mean in everyday parlance? It means big corporations. It means the Sonys. Why? Because Sony, originally had EverQuest 2. Remember that? EverQuest 2. You did that through Sony. And people are going to look, because the tendency we've seen with WotC, with the bad writing, they're not worried about getting good writers. Okay, they're getting writers who are more worried about pushing a political agenda. They suck at writing, hence, how bad the Strixhaven suck, how bad the Spelljammer suck. They don't produce stuff that's really good anymore. Very rare for that to happen. So they're worried that another corporation will look and go, geez, Game of Thrones was big, and and everybody's like, oh, we want to do something just like Game of Thrones. Hence Amazon with Rings of Power. We're going to be just like Game of Thrones. They're worried that somebody's going to look at their sucky movie and their sucky TV show and go, we could do that better. The writing's a little on that. I bet we could do that better. That's what they're afraid of. They're worried about major corporations to use for their own commercial and promotional purposes. They're not concerned about the content creating community, the OSR, people on drive-through. They're not concerned about us, third-party content creators. They're really not. Okay, they were afraid of this. Major corporations means major corporations. That's getting into big picture. Driving these, so let's go. 3, 2, 1. So here are our goals. We, WotC, want to control the products that are made for D&D. 2, they want to assert the OGL is limited strictly to tabletop RPG content like campaigns, modules, and adventures. They want to assert that the OGL is not for competitors. Well, we should put in major corporations. We put in parentheses, Sony. I say Sony only as an example. I don't know who would be looking to target them. Could be Amazon, for all I know. Now, so these goals, driving these goals are 2 simple principles. All right. And we're just reviewing this to just outline when somebody says who they are, you should believe them, right? That's what this is all about. I'm doing a theological approach to this. This is how we approached theological problems in Bible college. This is how we're doing it. We're going to pick this apart. Our job is to be good stewards of the game. Our job is to be good stewards of the game. Well, let's pick that apart. The steward is in control of the game. Well, they already control the IP. They are already stewards of the IP. Nobody can change that. Nobody. All right, that's well established in law. That's their IP is well protected in law. They don't have to sweat this. Okay, their job has been the IP, but they don't say the IP here. We want to be good stewards. We want to control the game. What do they want to control? Not the IP. It's the game. Because been a lot of talk lately. You can't copyright game mechanics, right? You can't. Okay? They're looking to extend their control of the game. They can't copyright game mechanics, but if you foolishly sign a closed gaming license, a 2.0, 3.0, whatever, that gives them control, then you've locked yourself into that contract. Okay? They're looking to get you to lay down control of the game. They're looking to extend their control, not of their IP. Okay. And I've heard people say, well, they should be able to control their IP. Yeah. You can't control the game mechanics. They're looking to extend. This is their principle. We must control the game. So let's put that in our document here. Principles. Okay. Our job to be stewards of the game. Let's highlight that. Okay. Highlight the word game. Okay. What does game mean? It's the game mechanics. They're not talking IP. Okay. I believe this document's very carefully worded. Words mean something. Game, not IP. Let's go back. 2. The OGL exists for the fans. Okay. This is an assertion. It's a false assertion, but they're asserting it. This is new. Remember, when we went up here, that first word, initially conceived, 3 goals, 2 principles. I'm going to assert they have 3 principles here. We're going to get to the third principle. They're only revealing 2, but if you look, the third one's there. Second principle, they're asserting. So let's go to the document. And here we are. Our job to be stewards of the game, and the OGL exists for the fans. This is a false assertion. It has not existed for the fans. Okay. Mr. Dancy, and bless his heart, man, I'm so appreciative of him going on video after video after video and saying what was going on in the beginning. You know, he's doing the Elrond. I was there, Gandalf, when the OGL was written. And he's made it very clear that his job, that game companies were failing, that the D&D was declining, and he was given the job, find out why and fix it. Okay. Now, not to go into all the things that he's explained about, why the OGL, look, if that was the job he was given, and what happened? He gave us the OGL, and then D&D became the 900-pound gorilla in the RPG room. Okay. It's the elephant in the room. It is. Okay. So obviously he did his job. He figured out what was wrong and he fixed it. Okay. And so the OGL was not for the fans. Oh, out of the goodness of our hearts, we're going to do this for the fans. No, it wasn't. It was for the goodness of WotC, Wizards of the Coast. It was not for the fans. The OGL did not exist for 2 decades for the fans. It existed for WotC. It was fixing a problem that the brand was having that was in decline, and now the brand's been in skyrocketing, so much so that they did over $1 billion during COVID. Okay, this is a false assertion, but this is their principle. They're going to stick to this. This is the principle they're going to stick to. It's for the fans. It's not for big corporations. It's for the fans, and watch that. Because fans are not the same as content creators. They use different words at different times. Okay, so it's false assertion. Let's be clear about that. But they're asserting it. That's their principle. Let's go back. Let's pick up that third principle right here. I believe this is the third principle. Nothing about those principles has wavered for a second. Okay. And how do I articulate that as the third principle? Right here. We are fully committed to these. We are fully committed to these goals and principles. Nothing's going to, not for 1 second will this change. I mean, this is a statement of not changing. This is written in stone. These are the 10 commandments. Moses has come down from the mountain, carved in stone. It's their principle. All right, so remember that. So what are our goals? We want to control the products that are made for D&D. We want to assert the OGL is limited strictly to tabletop RPG content, and that is about TVs and movies. They want to be the next Marvel. That's where they're going. They told us that last year. and assert the OGL is not for competitors, not for big corporations. They want to be clear about that. Now, principals. Our job is to be stewards of the game. They're not just our IP. They are stewards of their IP. That's locked in law. You can't change that. Okay. They want us. They want to. Okay. And if we let them, they will become. That's their principle. We're going to be the stewards of the game. We're going to control the game mechanics. Okay. And the OGL exists for the fans, not for anybody else. And we're fully committed to these principles. This is it, locked in stone. So let's go back. Visions. We're actually going to jump from this, and our plan was always this. Yeah, so much blowing of smoke. You know that air you feel in your pants? It's not a fart. It's smoke being blown up your butt. So let's go to one day ago, Mr. Kyle Brink, who nobody knows, nobody's heard of. He's only posted, rumor has it, only once or twice. Suddenly, hello, I'm the executive producer of D&D. Nobody knows who you are. It's my team that makes the game we all play. I'm a player too. That's nice. D&D is a huge part of my life, long before I worked at Wizards. It will be for a long time after I'm done. I'm a player. I love the game. Even though I'm an executive, I'm not a suit. I'm a player, just like you. My mission, and that of the entire D&D team, is to help bring everyone the creative joy and lifelong friendships that D&D has given us. Well, isn't that spiffy? 3 days, these past days, weeks have been incredibly tough for everyone. Yes, they have. And thank you for making it so. Players, fans, as players and fans, again, notice we're players and fans because they're going to be outlining camps here. As players and fans and stewards, there's that principle. We steward of the game, not the IP. Notice words have meaning. They mean something. Of the game, we can't and we won't let things continue like this. Hell no. We're not going to tolerate this anymore. Well, the hubbub was caused by you, but you're not going to tolerate it anymore? No, what they're not going to tolerate is us subjecting. Okay? This is not he's about to apologize. It's not an apology. I'm here to talk about the path forward. So here's the path forward. First, let me start with an apology. We're sorry. We got it wrong. We're sorry you got offended. We're not going to tolerate you being offended anymore. You notice that up here. We can't and we won't let things continue this way. So we're sorry. We got it wrong. We're sorry you're offended. Our language and requirements down here. Our language and requirements of the draft OGL, they're reasserting that lie, were disruptive to creators. You guys got upset. We're sorry you got upset. Gaslighting. Can we say gaslighting? So again, but we're the stewards and we must control the game. And it's too bad. So, it was disruptive to and not in support of our core goals of protecting and cultivating inclusive play environment and limiting the OGL to tape. So again, remember this is new, and we've got to limit that OGL. We got to limit what that OGL applies to. So they're sticking to that. We're gonna. All right. Then we compounded things by being silent for too long, and we hurt fans. Show us where we hurt you. Show us where the bad corporation hurt you. And creators, when more frequent and clear communication would have prevented this so much. It's not really our fault. We should have communicated better. You guys were hurt. You had your feelings hurt. You're offended that we want to control the game, is what they're saying. And we can't and we won't let things continue like this anymore. You being offended. Starting now, we're going to do this a better way. All right. Y'all acted up. This is how it's going to be. Dad had to pull the car over. Don't make me pull it over again. This is how it's going to be. more open and transparent. I believe that when I see it, with the entire community of creators, with time to iterate, to get feedback, and to improve. This sounds familiar. If this sounds familiar, it's because it's how we do it for the game itself. No, it's not how you do it for the game itself. You put stuff out there like Spelljammer, which then creates a hubbub and people criticize it. And you're like, oh, it's not our fault. It was the original content. I was there. Let me pull Elrond for a minute. I was there in 1982 when Star Frontiers came out. There was no racist slavery crap in Star Frontiers. No. It's not. It does not sound familiar. Now, all of that was nice flowery language to get to this very important statement. So let's do it that way for the OGL2. Now, this is what's important. Let's do it that way. Let's agree to talk about how the OGL should be revamped. Because they want to get rid of the OGL, which they can't. Mr. Dancy has made that very clear, But if we agree to let them get rid of it, then they've gotten rid of it, haven't they? Okay. They want to get rid of it. And so now, by us agreeing to talk with them about the new OGL, it means that we agree that they have the right to deauthorize 1.0A and do whatever they like. And I don't think we should agree to that. You can come out with whatever you want for a new OGL. I'm still going to use 1.0A because I can. And you can go ahead and sue me if you like. And I think that should be our response, because by agreeing to talk about changing the OGL, it is an admission, yeah, you have the authority to deauthorize the old one. Go pound sand. I'll just use the old one. It was perpetual. Okay? And yeah, didn't have the word irrevocable, but irrevocable, now I'm hearing that irrevocable was not a word that was being used in course of law. It was something that got defined since that time. So therefore, that perpetual predated that, and you got to go to original intent. And Dancy's been making original intent very clear. And WotC's own FAQ for years that was up, you can go in the Wayback Machine and see that, made it very clear. You don't like any new OGL we come out with, just use the old one. Just use the old one. So they're letting us know that they're going to put it out there. You'll be able to take a survey and give feedback. And I love this here. We'll listen to you, and then we'll share with you what we've heard. Now, that's interesting. I used to have a roommate, have a conversation with him, trying to discuss things going on in the house. And he'd be like, I hear you. And I learned real quick. And when he said, I hear you, he wasn't saying, I agree with you. I hear you means I heard what you said. I just don't agree with it. And I learned to spot that when he said, I hear you. So we'll listen to you, and then we'll tell you what we decided to hear. Okay. Then we'll tell you what we've just decided. Basically is how that boils down. You want to boil that down. That's what it is. Much like we do with our Unearthed Arcana and 1D&D playtests. This will be a robust conversation. No, it won't. It'll be one-sided before we release a future version of the OGL. Here's what to expect. We don't need to go into these 3 points on what to expect here. This is how it's going to go. You'll be able to find. Now, this is interesting here. This last piece where they say any change to the OGL will have no impact on at least these creative efforts. So your video content, not going to impact that. Your accessories for your own content, no changes to the OGL will affect your ability to sell minis, novels, apparel, dice, or any other items related to your creations, characters, or worlds. Not gonna. Okay. Non-published works, for instance, contracted services. So if you contracted to be a DM, if you're an artist, you took a commission, it's not going to impact any of that. VTT content, you'll be able to do VTTs and play on Roll20. GM's Guild content, your OGL 1.0A content, anything you've already printed under the OGL to this point, not going to be affected. You'll be able to continue to sell it. That's what they're saying here. Okay, your revenue, there'll be no royalty or financial reporting requirements. Your ownership of your content, it's yours. Okay, all this. So they're saying, yeah, we're going to give you. This is as it should have been from the beginning. Okay, none of this was legally enforceable by them. They tried to get you to agree to it, and if you agreed to it and signed all this away, then you did. But everyone looked at this and said, hell no. All this is, none of this was enforceable. Okay, none of this. Somebody took them to court, they lose on all of this. So they're like, we'll let you have that. Mighty big of you. Mighty big of you. All right. They gave you nothing here. Okay, they're giving you nothing here. This is a nothing burger. Oh, look at all this. It's nothing. You know, when that statement back here from 6 days ago, where it says those people are only half right, they won, and so did we. This is the cheeky monkey statement right here, and so did we. Why? Because they're still looking at the big picture. We're looking at the small picture. And here's the problem. The big picture is they need to assert control over the game. They need to assert control and changes over the OGL that they really can't and shouldn't be able to, because they're going in that 4-quadrant lifestyle brand movement. And they're not worried about us small potatoes. They're worried about, when they say major corporations, they mean major corporations. They're worried somebody else will be able to, because they're probably going to hire crappy writers more concerned about pushing a political agenda rather than just writing something good that everybody could like. Left, right, Republicans, Democrats. Let's get back to the good old days where something good on TV, we all could agree about, oh man, we love that show. Talk about it around the water cooler. No, they're going to push agenda, and it'll be crappy, you know. Crappy writing's a hallmark of modern movies and TV shows. I agree with Critical Drinker in his YouTube review of TVs and movies. More often than not, I agree with him. Really crappy writing. And somebody will come along and be like, we could do a better D&D show than that. We could do it just like, because that's what everybody wants right now. Just like Game of Thrones. Let's do just like a Game of Thrones. We could do just like D&D. If D&D is making $1 billion, we want some of that. We could do a better D&D show than D&D. That's what they're afraid of. That's what they're concerned about. That's what they're trying to limit. That's what they're trying to control. The OGL is not. And, you know, and maybe there's a little bit of a motive of, we created a little bit of a piezo. We don't want that happening with 5e. You know, we don't want to have a competitor, because piezo did outsell them. Pathfinder did outsell D&D there for a while. So, you know, that might be part of it. But the big picture, there's a big picture here. They're worried about the Sonys of the world. They're worried about the Paramounts of the world. They're worried about the other big corporations out there, Amazon. That's who they're worried about. Oh, and what does that mean for Orc? Where the community's going, you know what, we'll do our own thing. We'll do our own. They're okay with you doing Orc. You tell them you're doing Orc, you know what they say? We won. Because by you doing Orc or some other agreement is you admitting and consenting that they have the ability to deauthorize the 1.0A. That's what they're after. That's what they want. We can deauthorize it. It was not perpetual. We can revoke that. That's what they're after. This is something new. 1.0A has been chugging along for 2 decades. So their goal, and they outline their goals very well. Pay attention. Don't get caught up in the smoke at the beginning of those things. So because we've not been seeing the big picture, we don't really understand what WotC is trying to do, what their motives and goals are. Their motives and goals are so much bigger than what we've been, tempest in the teapot, losing our brains over. The issue, whether or not we should have an ORC or a new gaming license, it's kind of like, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here. Back in the day when your parents would give you milk money, ticket school, you'd be able to buy milk at lunch. You got your lunch, so you'd have your milk money to pay for. But the bully would meet you on the playground. He'd beat you up, take your milk money, and then you raise the stink over that. Well, if the bully came to you and says, all right, well, let's talk about how much of your milk money you're going to give to me, whether or not, no, you don't enter into that discussion. He has no right to any of your milk money at all. He has no right to it. And by negotiating with him how much he's going to take, it's an admission that he has some right to it. You're basically saying, well, you do have some right to it. So I'll give you half. Or I'll give you 25%, give you a quarter, right? I mean, it's by entering into any kind of an agreement to talk about what should be in the OGL is really saying, yes, you have the right to deauthorize the 1.0A. Yes, bully, you have the right to some of my milk money, but just not all of it. No, you don't have any right to my milk money. You don't have any right to it. And so I think the response of the community, keep in mind what the big picture really is. If you enter into negotiations about what should be in a new OGL, then you are admitting they have a right to deauthorize the old, and they don't. Okay? They're a bully. They're taking your milk money. Don't let them. You're going to have to fight. Okay? And maybe he's bigger. Maybe the bully's bigger than you. And maybe you're going to get a bloody nose. Okay? You got to fight. You can't let him have it. You can't let the bully take the OGL. They're asserting that they can make changes. And we need to say, no, you can't. No, you can't. And you're going to have to send us a cease and desist that we'll laugh off, and then you'll have to take us to court. And maybe we just need a class action lawsuit. I don't know. But I'm not going to give them feedback on a new OGL because they have no right to take the OGL 1.0A. They have no right to it. They have no right to it. And so if we focus on the little carrots and the little shiny baubles they want to dangle, oh, we'll give you this, you're missing the big picture. There's a bigger picture here. They're making assertions to control they do not have. Yeah, their IP's their IP. They control that. That's never going to change. That is supported by law. They don't get to control the game and the game mechanics. They can't copyright that. But if you agree to it in a contract, like a gaming license, then they can assert that control. Then they say, well, you signed the contract. You entered into this contract. Doesn't matter that they can't in law, but if they get you to agree to it, they got you. Don't agree to the gotcha. I don't know that we need an ORC. I think ORC's great, but I don't know that we need it. Take back your milk money. Take back your milk money. Stand up to the bully. Can't have it. You can't have 1.0A. You're gonna have to beat my butt for it, and I'm gonna hang on to it. You're gonna have to pry it out of my hands. That's how it's got to go. So don't get your eyes on little tiny prizes. That's where our eyes have been. Open them up. Realize there's bigger picture here. Tomorrow, this new OGL, and it's going to be hoopla. It's okay. I may or may not do a video on it. There's going to be a lot of hoopla. That's why they're releasing on a Friday. So Friday, Saturday, things can blow up. Sunday starts to, by Monday morning, moving on with the next thing. So this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room. Open your eyes. Don't be fooled by shiny little carrots, because they're not thinking about the content creators. But if you give them the power, they'll use that stick to beat you later on when it's convenient for them. They're worried about the Sonys. They're not worried about you. But they are a bully, and they will beat you if you sign that contract, if you enter into that contract, if you give them the precedent to say they had that power. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stand up for the OGL 1.0A. Don't let the bully take your milk money. Tom from Tabletop Tap Room. Thanks for listening. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And if you've not hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon, please do that. Help me build the channel. And until then, keep on gaming and stand up for the 1.0A OGL. Don't let the bully take it.